Noot, motherfuckers! Welcome to SMPD, the podcast where we look back at the cartoons that shape our childhood. I am Chris Bolton. With me, as always, my partner in podcasting, Mr. Mark Williams.
Hello.
And we are, of course, looking at the one and only Pingu.
Well, you say one and only, but I didn't realise that it was actually a second iteration of Pingu.
There's been a couple, but it's all kind of... because there's another weird series I remember coming out where it was like more structured. It's called like Pingu Goes to Town or some
Pingu
shit
in the
like
City.
That. There you go. Yeah,
It's a Japanese crossover.
Okay.
It's all computer animated and shit.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's only one fucking Pingu, right?
Yeah, he's an annoying little cunt. Let's get that right up in front and centre.
He is an absolute arsehole, and I love him for it. He's just an absolute wank. Like, look. Pingu is my fucking spirit animal. I'm just throwing that out there right now. Like, he's hyperactive, noisy as fuck, always has the last word, super annoying. Like, he is absolutely my spirit animal. Like, I love the little dude to bits. He's amazing. To me, it's all about those like original sort of 5-minute shorts, which were packaged up in, like, I remember seeing these packaged up in all sorts of different ways. I remember seeing it as a half-hour show. I saw them as 5-minute shorts, all sorts of stuff. But it's essentially just all a collection of these shorts, which ran seemingly for fucking ever. Like, I can remember watching this. Yeah, I was gonna say I can remember watching it in like the mid-90s when I was like passably old enough to watch it, like right up until my fucking early 20s. Like, Pingu was still on the fucking telly, and I'd wager it's still on now, probably somewhere if you look.
Yeah, so, probably. I'm sure. I mean, there was one I watched earlier today, which is we'll come on to episodes and stuff later on, but it's the episode where they're looking after the egg just before Pingu's born.
Yeah.
And the egg kicks the living fuck out of him, which is hilarious. But I remember seeing that on TV probably about a year ago.
Yeah, it seems to just be constantly on.
And the thing is, it's one of those, because it's just your ever ready preschool show, isn't it? You don't have to worry about language. You don't have to worry. There's some very relatable stories in there for small children as well, which we'll come on to. But I mean, in terms of it always being on, so the first season aired. It first aired on my birthday in 1990.
There you go.
So yeah, so it was that's not the day I was born. I'm not that fucking young.
You fucking wish.
I was going to say. Although I do deal with people in work now who were born like in the year 2000 and later, which really fucking freaks me out. But yeah, so it first aired March 7th, 1990. The second season aired November 91. The third season June 95, and then the fourth season in June 98. So they ran up until 2000, and then they had a bit of a break, and then you had these new seasons in 2004, 2003, 2006, and then this Pingu in the City shit, which I think goes 2017, I think.
I don't know. I just remember seeing some of it and just being like, "This." I
mean,
this isn't as good. This blatantly not as good. So I didn't bother.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried to. What they've tried to do, also, they've tried to take the spirit of the original and the character of the original, but transplant it into a more recognizable scenario for new viewers.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work though, because the whole point of it is that it's a small community and it's remote, and everybody knows everybody and all the rest. When you transplant them to a city, it doesn't work, because all of a sudden, cities aren't like that. Cities are inherently the complete opposite of that. Now you'll have very small communities inside massive communities inside a city, so you don't really get to know anybody, and nobody works on their doorstep. Everybody fucking commutes to work and all the rest of it, so it automatically doesn't work.
No, I think you're right. There's definitely like a small town feel to Pingu, and there's also probably more than any of the shows, certainly that I can think of in recent memory, that we've talked about on SMPD. Like, there's a definite sort of element of this just being knockabout fun. Like, there is absolutely no like tangible story arc for anybody. It's a bunch of, I mean, it's shorts. It's a bunch of skits strung together into a series, each one sort of 5 minutes. They're all short films, essentially. So when you start to try and put this thing on it, like all of a sudden he's a penguin in the city and stuff, no, that doesn't work. That's not what this is. This is just Pingu dicking around for 5 minutes, and the stories, as you say, quite relatable to younger children, but they are as simple as, this is the one where Pingu is born, this is the one where he goes fishing, this is the one where they have a snowball fight, this is the one where they play hide and seek. It's all of these things, and it's just much like an early Looney Tunes or Disney show. It is just a case of, this is what Pingu's going to do this week, and here's our story, and it will start and finish inside of 5 minutes.
Yes. And next week it'll be something different.
Yeah, nobody's going to learn anything. Pingu never evolves or grows. He's always a little arsehole. He never learns his lesson. And that's essential for it to carry on being what it's being, because every week Pingu has to be a little twat. Yeah. Otherwise it doesn't work. He always has to just get his moss off with somebody and noot at them. And that is never not funny. Even rewatching it now, I watched a lot of Pingu, and I have watched a lot of Pingu over my life. This is another one of those things that's never really gone away, I think, because it's always there. I've only watched about an hour's worth prior to recording tonight, and I've literally just come off the back of it. And I've laughed at every single episode. I've spent the last hour or so just laughing at Pingu essentially swearing at people. He's swearing when he does that. In whatever weird made-up penguin language they have, that really aggressive noot. Is that what it is? Penguin.
It's penguin. It's there's an actual term for it. It's a grammar lot. So it's an imitation language whereby you base it on something, but it's not a real language. So a bit like Klingon or Welsh.
Okay. It's funny you should say that, because to me it's always sounded like a kind of Italian Welsh hybrid. That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
When Pingu's doing that, and when the mother is speaking, when other characters are speaking, yes, the father sounds like whoever was putting on the sort of the deep Afrikaans voice in the Umbungo adverts.
Yeah, I could hear that now. Yeah.
It's just because and I don't know anybody who speaks with that sort of accent or dialect, so I don't know how accurate it is. But certainly from the parodies and the satires you see of it, where it's very fast, they have that sort of question index at the end where words go up. Yeah, like you're asking a question, so they get that right. It's very fast, it's very bassy. So that's the thing that struck me straight away. It's like, hang on, they're in presumably the Arctic. Or the Antarctic, whichever one penguins are in, I don't know. And you've got...
Isn't it the Antarctic?
I can't remember. I think you're right. I think it is.
It's the Antarctic. I wouldn't swear by it, but...
Yeah, I think it must be, because you get penguins in the southern tip of South America and the bottom part of South Australia and stuff, don't you?
Yeah. I think it's the Antarctic, but I wouldn't swear by that, because I'm pretty thick when it comes to things like that. I'm pretty thick in general, to be fair, listeners.
But marine biology and stuff like that, not really my area, got to be honest.
No.
But I think you're right. I think it is the Antarctic. But yeah, so you're there, and then you've got this very deep-seated tribal chief as the father, which just makes me laugh. But,
I mean, now I've just got the Umbongo song in my head. Right, okay, so apparently penguins are Arctic.
Oh, we got that wrong, then, didn't we?
Oh, no, hang on. Penguins are not Arctic animals, but rather live at the South Pole or Antarctic. Yeah.
Or the Biscuit Isle.
Well, basically, one article says they are from the Arctic, one says they aren't. I'm going to go with the one that says they aren't, because that's what we said. So what is the internet for, if not for confirming your biases? So we'll go with that. So we're like a couple of minutes in, and already we're off topic onto Umbongo and penguin biscuits. We should just do a show about like snack food from our childhood next. Yeah, I mean, clearly Monster Munch. Yeah, easily the best.
Although I'll say that I introduced the kids to Monster Munch a couple of weeks ago, and they wouldn't eat the beef one. They wouldn't eat the pickled onion one. They would only eat the fucking hot one.
What?
I know.
Right, okay, look, they're all nice, but Flaming Hot are clearly the worst Monster Munch.
Yeah.
Pickled onion, great. Beef, though, that's god tier crisps.
I was going to say, that's crisp for champions.
Yeah, beef Monster Munch is the reason I was a fat child.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the reason I'm a fat adult, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've eaten beef Monster Munch today, I'm not ashamed of it. Pickled onion I've come to appreciate in later life. Like, I didn't like them as a kid, just because I thought I didn't like pickled onions. In fact, I still don't like pickled onions, but pickled onion Monster Munch tastes nothing like pickled onions. They taste like onion rings, which are another god tier crisp. So we are way, way, way off topic.
So
strap yourselves in, listeners. It's going to be one of those.
It seems like it. Before we go back onto topic, Did I imagine they did some weird fucking flavors around about 2000 and they introduced a vanilla one as a special edition one?
Yep. There was vanilla ice cream Monster Munch. Every Halloween they used to do spooky spiders as well, which
Yeah.
were smoky bacon ones.
Yeah.
There was a brief resurgence in them about 2-3 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Definitely need to bring them back again. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And there used to be way back when, like when Monster Munch were actually like seemed like they were the size of your fist. They're probably no different to the size they are now. But when they first started, they were salt and vinegar as well.
Yeah.
That's what the blue monster was.
Yeah.
He was salt and vinegar Monster Munch. Because the blue one was salt and vinegar, the yellow one was pickled onion, and the pink one was roast beef.
Yeah.
But now the blue one is flaming hot instead.
Yeah.
Don't know why. I mean, flaming hot, fine, but they're not hot. So
yeah, they're not hot and they're not that interesting either. It's kind of a bland taste.
It just tastes like sugar. Is what flaming hot Monster Munch tastes like. They just taste like fucking sugar with like chili powder on or something.
You think I'd be on board with that, wouldn't you?
Look, there's nothing not to like. They're just easily the worst Monster Munch. So sort your kids out, Mark. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Fucking hell. Right, where did we leave Pingu?
The Antarctic.
Antarctic.
With the Umbongo father.
Father sounds like the guy from the Umbongo ones. I think all the voices, correct me if I'm wrong, because you would have done the research, but it sounds to me like all the voices are probably the same person, because they fucking sound like.
Yeah, I did have the person's name. I can't remember it now.
Yeah, because it clearly sounds he's just like kicking his voice up an octave when he needs to do a woman or something like that.
Real.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was Carlo Bonomi.
Bonomi, okay, there you go. So, well, that I don't know, but he sounds like an Italian gentleman.
Italian actor, best known for his work on the Mr. Linear and the animated series La Linea and Pingu. So, yeah.
There you go. So I probably wasn't a million miles off when I said it sounded like Italian/Welsh. Then was I? That was definitely what I was picking up from it. But I mean, it's clearly gibberish. And there's something really endearing about it. This kind of penguinese or whatever it is. It's like you couldn't imitate it if you tried. It is so unique.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you were a child listening to it, and you would, because kids will play anything. If you were playing Pingu, you would make a series of clicks and knocks and that would be fine. Yeah. But if you actually try and listen to it and try and recreate any of it and make any semblance of fucking sense out of it,
outside of Noot, I don't think you could imitate any of those sounds.
No, the only thing you did get is when in the episode where Pingu's born, and as babies do when they're born, immediately shits, which was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, but
the midwife or doctor or wherever it is clears it all up and then gives the clearly soiled napkin, tissue, toilet paper, wherever it is, to Pingu to go and flush. Who gives a fucking toddler used toilet paper? Yeah. What sort of fucking hillbilly society is this? But in that, the doctor clearly uses the word poo-poo.
Yeah, there's poo-poo and caca in that. As I say, I'm less than an hour away from watching these, so they're all pretty fresh. I've seen about the first 15. I did watch quite a lot. They're all on Amazon Prime, by the way, listeners.
Yeah, so they're on Prime. I watched. I texted you after I'd done 3 and said my brain had melted, and I think I probably watched another 3 after that as well.
I could keep watching it all night. I mean, I'll just throw it there now. The only reason I'm only watching it like an hour before, normally I'm watching stuff way earlier than that, but we specifically decided to go for Pingu this week because it was one we felt we could do quite easily. I've had rather a hectic week to say the least, besides like officially hitting middle age. My wife's been in hospital as well, so I've not had a lot of time to just sit down and watch stuff. So I didn't know if I'd actually get to watch any of this before we recorded. So it's been good that I've managed to watch an hour, but I was just going to say it now. I'm going to watch more. Now I know they're on Amazon Prime. I'll sit down and watch these things all fucking day. I could not get bored of these, I don't think.
The thing is as well, I mean, it's the sort of thing, they're 5 minutes. You could say, right, okay, well, I'm just going to take a shit. Or I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the kettle to boil. I don't know, whatever it might be. It's like, I'll chuck one of them on.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I'd watched more of it last week now, because I knew they were short as well, but just wasn't in the mindset. I was far too busy. I was just like, I'll get to it when I get to it. I actually think it would have vastly improved my week last week if I'd have watched more Pingu. So I just should have, while I was kicking around, because especially when you've got people in the hospital, and particularly at the moment, we're recording this, not to put too much of a timestamp on this, we're recording this still in the COVID era, so it's not like I could go to hospital. So I'm just at home, sat by the phone, doing fuck all. answering like a million messages from people, basically. Just like you're busy doing fuck all.
Yeah.
And I could have quite easily just thrown this on in the background and it would have made me laugh, because literally every episode, at least once, I've laughed out loud. Generally because Pingu's being an arsehole, and it's generally accompanied, like Noot makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he's aggressive with it. Like, there are a million different ways that he says Noot as well. But when he's pissed off, and he's just like, Noot, it's fucking hilarious.
But am I right in thinking as well that every time he says Noot, his mouth makes that sort of microphone shape?
Yeah, he turns it like a trumpet. It's like a bugle almost comes out of his mouth. And then, occasionally he does it when he's happy as well. But like, there's one of the episodes I watched is where he's gone to work with his dad. Yeah. Like, he's gone to work as the postman for the day. And like, every house he gets to has a doorbell or a door knocker at some point. But no, Pingu's not going to ring the fucking doorbell. No. He's just going to stand outside the door and fucking scream Noot until you come and answer, because he's an absolute bellend. Like, he is the archetypal nightmare, like 5-year-old little boy, isn't he?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's the archetypal 5-year-old nightmare boy. He's just a boy of a very young age, because they're just so. No, I mean, I speak from having one and also having friends with children the same age and stuff. And boys just are. They'll just fuck it. It's like, oh, hang on, there's a postage stamp. Let's all pile on it. Yeah. Let's go kick the fuck out of it. I mean, we went to a birthday party last year. No, year before last now, because obviously last year was just kind of written off. And the girls were all sat, they're doing fucking arts and crafts and playing games and shit. And the boys are fucking wrestling on the bouncy castle and chucking each other off it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what boys do. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and Pingu has that energy. Like, I'm not joking when I say he's my spirit animal. Like, it's well established by now that I'm far too immature for my age. I see myself in the little dude. Like, he's just constantly, like, he's an early poster child for ADD, I think, as well, isn't he? Because he's constantly, like, he's doing one thing and then he's like, oh, shiny over there, run over there. Like especially once Pinga, and Pinga's introduced very early on as well, but once Pinga gets involved, my camera's all over the shop tonight for those of you on video. Sorry, we've had to mess around with it before recording as well. I'll just shift this. This is very boring for all of you on audio, but there you go.
And apologies to anybody doing video who's now feeling seasick.
Sorry about that. But you did get a lovely shot of my man boobs, so lucky you. What was I saying? Yeah, even Pinga comes in quite early, but once she's introduced,
second or third episode, I think.
Yeah, and you have the sibling rivalry thing. Like, any episodes that involve any sibling rivalry between the two of them, he is just an absolute just ball of energy. Like, because anytime she's getting any sort of attention from either appearance, he's just like, no, look at me, look at me, me, fuck you, me. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, and I mean, it's quite interesting as well, because you were saying earlier that obviously the timeline, there is no timeline for it. It's just, this is 5 minutes of Pingu's life and he's doing whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes is that Pinga changes.
Yes. Yeah, she does get older.
So she gets older, but Pingu doesn't, and the parents don't.
No.
Which is just fucking weird. But, but it obviously they need to, because obviously as they go through, they can do more with a character if the older they are. If you have a baby for 10 years, there's not so much, unless you're The Simpsons or Family Guy, there's not really a lot you can do with that character.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to kind of shift that on, but there's no, I don't think it's ever really questioned, and nor does it need to be, as to what that time scale is. This is very much, as I say, it's its own kind of microcosm, and it's that thing again of almost like Pingu's playing a role more than anything. Like, this week Pingu's going to be the postman. This week Pingu's going to go
build an igloo or play hockey.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that. It doesn't really matter. We've talked about a lot of the narrative already, even though there isn't any, which says quite a lot, actually, I think, about these characters, because we've talked about each individual character. We've said there's no arc, but we've done 20 minutes more or less, aside from our brief detour into Monster Munch. We've done 20 minutes more or less about just who these characters are, which says something about them. And I think they are all endearing, because it is these 5-minute snippets. They have to be instantly recognizable. This is very cartoony in more ways than one, not just in the animation, but also in the fact that these are, very broad stroke characters. Like I said, Pingu is your archetypal little boy. Pinga is a baby. Dad is your, like, downtrodden, hardworking dad. The mother is a housewife. Yeah. The seal is basically Pingu's dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
you know, he's like his best friend or whatever, but he's basically his dog. You
Yeah.
know, and then you have the older kids as well who are always a little bit better than
Yeah.
Pingu at things. So there's all of these sort of archetypes that you recognize. So it's actually quite well constructed, and it's basically, I think it doesn't need to be as well put together as it is to achieve what it tries to achieve. I think there is clearly a great deal of love and affection gone into this product, and more so than a lot of the stuff that we've talked about on the show. You know, this isn't trying to sell toys. This doesn't have some big grand overarching story. It doesn't have massively high production values, I don't think, either. I mean, Claymation's never cheap, but it doesn't, you know, it's not shiny and glossy, but at the same time, there's no repeated frames of animation here. Every voice track sounds different. Every Noot is different, like I said, you know. So everybody involved has just put all the effort in required to make the absolute best product that they can make every week. Now, those later ones, I don't get that same feeling from, but certainly these early ones, like I said, they feel like short films.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of care that's gone into the character work, the voice, and just the animation as well is stunning. I love claymation. It is a real passion of mine. As much as I like animation, I can't draw for shit. Now, I'm not great with modeling either, but I'm better. So I kind of feel like I can maybe get away with doing something in claymation. So I kind of relate to it a little bit more, because it is essentially photography. I mean, so is animation, but you know what I mean.
I always feel I'd be quite good at doing horror in claymation because I could make a good blob.
There you go. Yeah, we could make a big blob of clay and just have it eat things. Yeah, I mean, special effects are easy as well. You just fucking set the clay on fire and shit like that. So I love the way claymation looks. I love the way it moves. I love the fact that there's something. Actually, Pingu, you don't get this. They do all look quite clean, but sometimes with claymation, you just really get kind of the stamp of an artist on it as well. And as much as it can be slightly grubby, you can see fingerprints, you can see things, and there's something just really warm and homely about that.
But
like it
not only
feels like
that, I mean, if you think of think of Pingu as an example, where you've got the head, you will get the head being slightly less than perfect. It's not quite perfectly round, just because of the way they mold it. Whereas if you do that on a computer, it's like, I know, we get a sphere. So you make a 3D, you make a sphere, and then you stick some eyes on it, you stick a beak on it, and it never changes.
No, and it'll be the fact, it's slightly different, and it'll be the fact that like just for probably a couple of seconds of film, Pingu will have like 20 or 30 heads that they're going to have to swap out just to make a Noot.
Yeah.
You know, because one head's going to have to come off, another one's going to have to go on with the beak in a slightly different place. That one's going to have to come off. Now the eyes have moved slightly. So, and each of those is slightly different. So there's a kind of kinetic energy, I think, to claymation and stop motion for that matter.
Yeah. There was a really nice gag actually in the episode where Pingu's looking after the egg, where it kicks the fuck out of him. He's dancing at one point. And he's jumping him down, and the head stays up, and the body comes down.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was a glitch. I know they'd fucked the animation, and then he grabs the head and pulls it back down and sort of jiggles it back on a bit.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the impression that it fucked up, and then they went, "Yeah, that's funny. We'll do that. We'll use that."
That's the thing. There's a lot of that in there. There's a lot of just artistry. There's no other word for it. There's you know, these guys that are putting this together, and gals, I'm sure, but these people that are putting it together genuinely care about the product and are having fun with it and experimenting with it go as well. And if something goes wrong, they're rolling with it. You know, it doesn't feel like this mass manufactured commercial product. Now it would become that, of course, because there's Pingu fucking everything. His little bastard face used to be everywhere. But you know, to begin with, it kind of feels like it's the kind of thing you'd see in the animation section of a short film festival to begin with, you know.
Well, the pilot actually did debut at the Berlin International Film Festival.
Oh, I didn't know that, but right, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I haven't
made that up, I promise. I did read it somewhere.
I mean, it definitely feels like it would, because it feels like it's a bunch of people going, this is what we can accomplish, please give us money.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it feels like. Like, we want to do more of this, so give us money because we're very good at it.
Yeah. Okay, I got that slightly wrong. It was originally, the pilot aired on Swiss television in 1986 and was shown the following year at the Berlin International Film Festival. Now, interesting. I didn't realize it was a Swiss co-production. I assumed, having not seen it since I was a kid until today, I always figured it was British because it was always shown just after Morph.
Yeah.
So I always associated the two of them being together, and because I was young and stupid and didn't really give a fuck at the time, I assumed it was it was just another thing by the same people. So when I came to this earlier on, I was like, hang on, fucking Swiss, what? That was
I
quite interesting.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't British. I don't know why. I've just always known it wasn't British. It seemed to have some sort of weird European energy to it.
Yeah,
If that makes sense, like
it
it
was a
just
yeah,
didn't feel nasty enough to be British. I know that's
oh
a
yeah,
horrible thing to say, but it just
yeah.
didn't feel,
It was
uh, you know.
it was a co-production with between a British and Swiss company.
There you go.
But yeah, so I mean, I think the overriding control was with the Swiss company, created by Otmar Gutmann. So I mean, you had that, and then the newer version, the Pingu in the City, that's a British Japanese co-production. So I'm assuming that Gutmann wasn't involved, and they've just somebody bought it and gone, right, make that.
I mean, that's the thing. As I say, whilst it may have been a labour of love to begin with, it definitely grew legs very quickly. Like I remember
Yeah,
Pingu being on like all the fucking time, like all, and it went from first of all it was on like BBC Two, I
yeah,
remember. Then it ended up on BBC One, so I was watching it over there, and then there was a period where it ended up on Nickelodeon as well.
yeah,
And I was like, as previously discussed on the show, I watched a fucking lot of Nickelodeon. So there was just no escaping this thing. And
yeah.
this is another one of those shows where, like with those Nicktoons as well, there are episodes of this that I've seen fucking hundreds of times probably because they're just
Yeah.
always on. So in rewatching these ones now, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is the one with the where Pingu's born. This is the one where
Yeah.
he's fishing, and that is the one I think I've probably seen the most, where he's fishing and the seal keeps pulling the rod out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which again,
That's the first one the seals in, isn't it?
yes, it is. Yeah, and again, that feels like it should be a short film.
Yeah.
Incidentally,
It's almost something you could see Tom and Jerry doing where
definitely,
where
yeah,
Tom's fishing and Jerry keeps you can see that quite transferring quite easily.
yeah, definitely. It's just got that kind of just that one stroke gag energy to it. Like here's a gag that we're going to stretch out for 5 minutes, and that's all this is. It's a gag, one gag. That's all it is. And then there's other episodes, yeah, like the one with Pinga being born, where it's almost more sitcom-y. So like that seal one definitely feels like it's just a 5 minute skit, whereas the one where Pinga's being born, the comedy is coming from the situation there. Like Pingu nicks the nurse's hat and he's just dicking around with the nurse's hat because why not? Because he's
to
a
be
dick.
fair, he didn't nick it. The nurse dropped it on the way
Dropped
in.
it, yeah, but then he doesn't
Then
have
he's
to put it
fucking
on
about
his
with
head
it.
and parade around and fuck around with it, do you?
But again, he's a fucking child. That's
Yeah,
what they do.
yeah, but then you've got the things as well. Then, like, I mean, even though she's hatching from a fucking egg, the parents are kind of shielding Pingu from it because he's a young boy, so he shouldn't have to see this. And possibly my favorite gag in the whole hour and a bit's worth that I watched. I know I think it's that episode, yeah, right at the start where she's hatching and the father sat on her and she just pecks him in the arse.
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. Like
Yeah.
that broke me for a bit. That.
Well, the things, I mean, it's interesting what you said because there are some very definite sitcom elements to it. I mean, the previous episode to that, which is where Pingu's watching the egg, Pingu's sitting on, he starts dancing and it starts walking around all the rest of it. There's very much it's done a lot in sort of teen sitcoms and things where certainly in America where they do that thing in where they make them take like a crying baby doll for a weekend to show how bad it is to have kids when you're young and all the rest of it. It's kind of like has that sort of energy whereby he's looking after this fucking egg that just he can't control and he has no idea what to do with it, and it's just interfering with his real life, and it's got that sort of feel to it. And then there's one a couple after Pingu's born whereby he gets very jealous of the fact that the mother is spending time with nurturing the baby, and again that's something that you can almost see sort of a child-based sitcom like a CBBC sitcom or not sort of the early sort of the tween sitcoms you used to get, but whereby you have got a kid who's trying to get the parents' attention, almost like the sort of thing Rugrats would have done.
Yeah, now that one again, yeah, you're right. That's definitely got sitcom energy to it, and that one specifically brought sitcoms to mind because there is a gag in that where Pingu's trying to get her attention, where he picks up a pan and puts it on his head, then grabs a wooden spoon and is just marching around the room banging the pan, which is something I vividly remember from a very similar Simpsons episode.
Yes.
Where Lisa arrives and Bart's wandering around the house just smashing his head with a spoon.
Great. Everybody loves me.
Yeah. And that came straight to mind because, I mean, as I've mentioned before on the podcast, I have a small zoo full of animals here. And one of our cats is particularly attention hungry. If I'm talking to one of the others, I swear that's what he does. He will just run around the kitchen going meow, 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 meow. And it just reminds me of Bart Simpson banging the spoon in the pot. And so as soon as I saw that with Pingu, I was like, that. But straight away then I was like, okay, so which came first? Because I think it probably was, because this was very early 90s.
This is a very early run, and that was an early Simpsons as well, but you're probably talking 3 or 4 years in.
It was still a couple of seasons in, so whether they lifted it from Pingu or not, I don't know. Whether it's just one of those creative synergy things. Sometimes things just get out there in the zeitgeist, and that's how sometimes you get like a bunch of movies about killer sharks in the same year, or a bunch of movies about clowns in the same year. Just things just get out there in the zeitgeist. But that's it. It just seems too similar to be a coincidence.
It does, but I mean, on the back of that, there's a very real edge to it as well, whereby you do get that with kids, and this very well observed how kids do behave, especially young kids in that sort of situation. And I mean, we didn't see that because, let's say, we fostered number 2 when he was 4.5. So we haven't had to deal with that. We didn't have that jealous phase. We do get it occasionally from him because he presents as younger than he is, and all sorts of issues there. But we do get that sometimes if we're talking to number 1, or we're talking to each other even, and it's like, you're not paying attention to me. What's going on? Mm-hmm. But certainly with young kids, when when a baby comes along, they feel like they're being replaced.
Yeah,
and they play. There are lots of things like that, and again, the thing with the birth where naturally curious and wants to know what's going on and is being shielded from it. And as soon as she's out of the egg, he wants to go and play with her. Yeah. And can't because she's too small and just shits everywhere. Which I just wasn't expecting that. I've got to be honest. It's just like, it's not. I hadn't seen enough of it at that point to think, oh, it's that sort of cartoon where baby comes out everywhere.
I mean, again, it's that kind of European energy, isn't it? Like that you wouldn't get that if it was an entirely British product. Like we like our toilet humor, but we're not that graphic about it.
Well, yeah, that's the British toilet humor is a lot less obvious and it's a lot less blatant in your face, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
Whereas, European and even American humor, to an extent, goes that way as well. It's very graphic. It's got to be, why show it when you can do or why allude to it when you can just show it in all its fucking glory?
Yeah.
And that's what this was. And no, it didn't add anything apart from the fact that it made the doctor give Pingu use toilet paper to go and flush, and then they missed an obvious joke about it not coming off his slipper or the toilet not flushing or whatever they wanted to do because they just wanted to get back now.
Block the toilet is the gag there, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah. You do something and even the way it's set up, where he approaches the toilet, he lifts the lid, throws it in, and again, it's all very well animated, it's all very well observed. But then he just turns around and walks off. And well, hang on, what's the point in all of that if you're not going to do something while you're in there?
Yeah.
Because and as you said earlier, the amount of effort that has gone into what is probably 8 seconds.
Yeah, but
the amount of effort that's gone in to make every single frame of that 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Why do nothing pay off?
Yeah. I mean, besides the fact, okay, this is really splitting hairs, but besides the fact, all I could think then is, why do penguins have toilets? But then
they have footballs and they eat off plates.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. But for some reason, the very specific fact that they had a toilet, just. But
it's not the first time we've seen the toilet either.
No, I know. But it was just like, why have they got toilets? Like I was perfectly fine with suspending disbelief for like dining tables and chairs and
eating
fucking
off plates and
dad's a postman. Yeah, perfectly fine with all of that. They go fishing with fishing rods. Like fine with all that. Why have they got toilets?
Yeah. It was a bit of a bizarre one, but I mean,
how do you plumb a fucking igloo?
Well, exactly. Surely the pipes would freeze every 2 fucking minutes.
Exactly.
The amount of lagging you need would be ridiculous.
Exactly, and you can't have a boiler because you'd melt the house.
Yeah.
So, plus you wouldn't have any gas probably. So,
well, I don't know. There may be some really some untapped resources down there.
Maybe, but
then the Americans and they'll find it and fuck it up.
Yeah. But yeah, that to me, that was the one where I was like, why have they got a toilet?
Yeah, no,
I don't know why.
the first episode, I've got to be honest, I watched it and I put it on. I remembered specific bits of Pingu, but I didn't remember a lot of it. And I put the first one on, and you get the first scene you get is at the dinner table, where he just fucking deep throats a fish for a start, and he's literally there, and then the fish comes out with all the fucking flesh off it.
Yeah.
So you get that, and then he leaves the table to go and get his toy out, and the father calls him back, and no, he has a plate full of fucking spinach. So the father starts feeding him off his own plate, which there's a fucking dodge there somewhere. I've got to try that. You got to eat your greens. Yeah, eat your greens. Eat your greens.
Mine. Yeah.
So you do that, but then Pingu swallow. You see him swallow, then he runs to the bathroom and throws it all back up again. Now, what the fuck are they saying about now? Why is that something you want to be teaching kids who are probably 3 or 4 at this point? That it's a good idea to go throw up your vegetables. I
mean, it's the 90s. We weren't, and look, we say it a lot on this show. These days you definitely wouldn't do that because there'd be all sorts of triggers for eating disorders because of that.
Even if you don't think in terms of eating disorders, but in terms of behaviour, it's all right, kids. You can get away with them with not having your vegetables. Just stick them in your mouth and go and fucking throw them up later.
I mean, that's classic though, isn't it? Kids dodging vegetables. That's like,
But that's not the way you do it.
No, it's not. But that's
feed
a
it
classic
to the dog.
Gag, and feed it to the dog, yeah, or fucking chuck it out the window when they're not looking or whatever. But it's just it's a variation on that theme, isn't it? I was more concerned, as I say, with the fact that these days that would be a definite trigger for eating disorder. There's no way
to show that now
that would happen. So again, that's one of those things that we're not saying that's right or wrong. We're just saying that's a clear timestamp.
Oh yeah,
of
definitely.
when this was made.
And you're right. It is very much that thing of trying to avoid eating your vegetables. I get that, but yeah, it just struck me as really odd that's the first gag you get. Really, is he goes and throws up. No pun intended there, but that's the first gag you get where he goes and throws up his vegetables, having deep throated a fish, which I was just really fucking disturbed with.
I mean, some of the animation in general is, how can I say this? Borderline pornographic, I suppose, is the only. It's not deep. I was going to go with suggestive, but it's not suggestive.
No, not at all.
It's borderline. Like there's especially like the seal has a very specific movement when he's happy, where he kind of flips his tail underneath and then back out, and he looks like he's thrusting he just looks like he's dry humping air, basically. Like it's clearly a sex animation. Like somebody in that team somewhere has made a claymation porno, and this is just like, I know how to do this. We'll use this for the seal, because
it'll be funny, and kids won't know what it is anyway. It'll be funny.
But the seal is definitely fucking midair. Like there's no 2 ways about it. Like definitely.
Yeah.
And then I know this is a thing penguins do, but there's a lot of like rolling over and sticking your ass in the air and things like that as well. And yeah.
Saying that, I mean, there was something I did find really interesting and quite funny about the animation. It was a gag they made in the 2nd or 3rd episode again, where they're trying to incubate the egg, and you always get the thing about dinner suits, penguin suits, all the rest of it, and the mother actually sort of hitches up the back like it's a jacket.
Yeah,
to sit down, and again, there's some stuff like that which is really clever and really well thought out.
There's some,
and then there's a seal fucking itself. It's...
there is some really good business in there, as Walt Disney would have termed it, talking about things like silly symphonies. These little skits of like cartoonish behavior. Like, of course, a penguin can't treat its tail like a suit, but there's enough believability in that because we make the connection that it's really funny. And there is some really good stuff like that, even down to the way they walk as well. It's quite cartoonish the way they walk, but because they've got the flat feet, they're just sort of slapping on the ground as they walk. And it's, again, that's not how a penguin actually walks, but it's exaggerated enough that it's funny. The beak coming out into the noot noot. Yeah. That's not a sound a penguin makes, but it's close enough, and the beak approximating a trumpet is funny. So there's a lot of that kind of just at the edges of suspension of disbelief that make it really funny. It's quite cartoonish in that way. it's one of them, as well as I said when we talked about the storylines as well. I think it's one of the more cartoonish shows that we've actually looked at.
Yeah.
We don't tend to dip our toes into actual cartoons too often. Cartoons in terms of the genre, not in terms of the media. We don't tend to dip into them too often because we tend to go more for the stuff that's got a solid storyline that we can look at.
Yeah.
So I've found it quite refreshing as well to look at it from that standpoint, to watch something that is just 5 minutes of pure like I said, I'll watch more, but like if I don't watch any more for the next 2 months and then all of a sudden I remember they're there, I haven't missed anything. It's not like I've got anything to catch up on. I haven't got to remember what happened last episode, which I would have to do with, say, something like Jace or Ulysses or Pokemon. I'd have to be like, well, where the fuck did I leave it? What's happening?
Where are we in the time?
Where are we? Yeah. And so there's none of that to it.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really nice, good time watching this. But that sort of, those gags as well, and that cartoonish style, as I say, the gags come from that, but it's also, there's so much of the movement is very well observed in it as well, and it's quite difficult with claymation, I think, because again, you don't have the same level of control as you do with traditional sort of pencil or pen animation, pen and ink then. But so much of the story is communicated through the movements, because remember, there is no language here. Like there's this made up penguinese, which, don't get me wrong, the performances are great. You get when they're angry, you get when they're sad, but that's about all that gets conveyed. Everything else comes through the motion and the animation. And I think that's a real achievement in claymation as well, to get that level of emoting across to your audience. So, and yes, some of it is down to like Pingu stretch himself to be abnormally long because he's surprised, or he'll squish himself down because he's scared or whatever. So there's that level of exaggeration, but there is also nuance in there as well with their facial expressions. One weird thing, speaking about facial expressions, have you noticed, and I don't think I ever noticed this as a kid, Pingu has a tick.
Does he?
He blinks with one eye rapidly.
Okay, I didn't notice that. I'll have to go back and look at that.
I don't know why that is. Like, that's a really weird thing to give to him. Like,
well, yeah, because again, the amount of effort that would have to go in to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody's made that choice, but he has a tick. Like, he'll just be, talking along normally and nooting along, and all of a sudden he'll just give it one of them. Really odd.
That's weird, but also kind of well observed.
Yeah,
but it's subtle enough. I hadn't noticed it.
I saw it once. It's in the credits as well. He does it in the credits.
Okay.
And he does it quite a lot. And I don't recall there ever being anything said about that, but it just makes you wonder whether, again, there was someone on the staff that maybe had a child that had some behavioral issues that perhaps we would be more aware of now, that weren't being explored in the 90s and certainly weren't being put on screen. But was maybe able to reflect that in Pingu. As I say, he certainly seems like at times he has behavioral issues as well. So it's whether there's something there that's been observed. Yeah, look, I'm just shooting the moon here. I have no evidence for any of this. This is my interpretation. Nor do I have any actual fucking qualification or experience to talk about this stuff. But it certainly seems to me that someone somewhere's trying to say something about
possibly
about children and behavioral issues, because he very definitely has this tick.
I'll have to go back
really
and look.
Strange.
I didn't spot that.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Like it's there a lot. Yeah. So, and like I say, it's the effort that's gone into actually animating that. It's not an accident.
Yeah, because they'll have to go in every time they want to do it and change the fucking eye.
It's several times. Yeah. Because it's not like, it's fucking hell. Like, I keep forgetting, like, some of you are on video, some of you aren't. So I just did a wink. Okay. So it's not an exaggerated wink. In fact, you probably can't see what I did earlier on when I said he had the tick either. But anyway, it's not a wink. It's like a real rapid eye flutter kind of thing. Yeah, it's very, very strange. It's quite interesting. He's the only character that does it as well. It's not like this is how penguins blink. Because others will blink and some don't blink at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very strange. But anyway, complete sidetrack there.
I tell us about the show.
It is.
It's
but
not.
then
It's not Monster Munch, I grant you, but you know.
No, but then I took a detour into behavioral issues and stuff, which I know fuck all about. If anybody does have any background on that, not behavioral issues specifically, but whether there's anything to that in Pingu, do let us know, because I'd be really interested. Because I couldn't, like, once I'd seen it, that was something I was like, why is he doing that? What are they trying to tell us here? You know, because there's no episode where Pingu goes to see like a behavior specialist. Do you know what I mean? It's
Well,
like
they might be in the new one. I mean, no, they've got in some of the later ones. You've got Pingu's Bouncy Fun, where they build a trampoline. Pingu finishes the job. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Pingu digs a hole.
that's every fucking episode.
I was
Pingu
gonna
digs
say,
himself a hole every episode.
Yeah, I think this is a literal hole.
I mean, you know, we're talking about how they just find 5 minutes out of nothing. There you go. There's an episode about digging a fucking hole.
Oh, I've got a better one than that. This is right up your street. It's called Pingu's Stick Up. Pingu and Pinga find stickers in their cereal box and start labeling things.
Amazing. I do not remember that one.
That's one of the later ones. That's from 2004.
Oh my god, because that would have been my perfect episode. I told you he was my spirit animal, didn't I? Like, he's even into stickers. See? Me and Pingu, I tell you, we're bros for life. We like if Pingu was a real penguin, I'd totally adopt him. Like, I don't know how I'd keep a penguin, but I'd work it out. Like, he's definitely.
Well, Jim Carrey managed it in a film with like 50 of them, so I'm sure you could manage one.
Does he have what's that in Ace Ventura?
No, Mr. Popper's Penguins. He probably does have them in Ace Ventura.
I don't think I've ever seen Mr. Popper's Penguins.
I've seen the trailer a lot.
I'd forgotten that film even existed till you just mentioned it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it. I just saw the trailer a lot.
No.
But I'm sure you could manage one. Reasonably sized house.
I only want one penguin. Fucking hell. Pingu's enough of a handful. Can you imagine if you had 2 Pingus running around? Jesus Christ.
Well, I've got a Taz. Does that count?
I mean, fucking hell. I don't think I could cope with Pingu, but, you know, I guess you put him in the freezer and just... If a freezer's too cold for penguins.
Depends on that. Well, cold you set it, I guess.
Penguin keepers, let us know what temperature the penguins need to be.
They'd probably tell you not to keep it in the freezer, to be honest.
They probably would, wouldn't they? I don't think our climate is suitable for keeping penguins. Plus, Pingu, not real. Although I'm sure there are millions of penguins out there in fucking zoos called Pingu. Yeah,
I mean, Pingu, there's a lot of stuff has been named Pingu because of it as well, including a virus.
What?
There's a picorna virus found in Gentoo penguins. Is titled, it's named the Pingu virus.
So it's an actual penguin virus as well?
So yeah, it's a picorna virus, which is a group of related non-enveloped RNA viruses which infect vertebrates, including mammals and birds.
I mean, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. So, but because it was either found or infects penguins, they've called it the Pingu virus.
Fucking hell. Okay, that's quite sad, really.
It is, but I mean, there's better stuff as well. So, there's an observatory. Where is it? It's the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory in the South Pole, which is named Pingu, which is the Precision Ice Cube Next Generation Upgrade. So the facility that they've actually called the facility Pingu, which is quite nice because they use it for monitoring penguins.
Don't you just love tech abbreviations? They're amazing, aren't they? They are fucking amazing. Like, that's a bunch of super intelligent people sat around going, what we're going to call it?
Pingu.
Yeah, and you know then they had to reverse engineer that name. Like,
definitely.
It sounds really like Pingu just fell into what it was, but no.
There's more effort going into that than the fucking research they're doing.
Yeah, totally. Some like super brainy people and a load of like the world's best engineers sat around and built this fucking thing, and then they went, I want to call it Pingu.
Yeah, how do we call Pingu?
They spent a good night sat in a bar somewhere going, precision.
Yeah.
No, it's not precision. Can't be penguin. That's too obvious. And that's how that name came about. I love technical abbreviations. They're fucking amazing, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are absolutely fucking amazing. So yeah, I mean, all of that to say really that Pingu has some genuine cultural impact, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's properly in there. No, it's. I mean, given that it was one of those. As a kid, it was on, and I didn't, because it was on BBC. I didn't see a lot of it, but I saw it occasionally.
Oh yeah, because you watched ITV more, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was aware of it. I'd seen bits of it. I was aware that the Pingu, the penguins spoke kind of like the Martians in Mars Attacks. In as much as
They
Newt
do, don't they?
Newt was
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
bit of rah, 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 rah. So I was fine with that. I knew about it, and then I didn't really do much else with it. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I mean, I didn't realize there was so much of it. I didn't realize that there were so many series and there was a spin off and all the rest of it. I was aware there was a spin off. I wasn't aware quite how big that was. I mean, that's fucking done 2 seasons already.
Jesus.
Um, which I'll tell you how many episodes that is now. That's 52 episodes. I mean, they're practically a syndication
Fucking
with that, right?
hell. Yeah, yeah. Well, even the early seasons of Pingu though, they had like loads of episodes per season, didn't
104.
they? Yeah.
They're
So
26 per season.
yeah, so it wasn't like
And then so they had the revival in sort of 2000 and odd, which was another 50 odd.
fuck me. There's a lot of Pingu, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a real lot of Pingu. Like that's I mean I've enjoyed watching this, but that's more Pingu than I think I could ever watch.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
Why did I always see the same fucking ones?
well,
there?
that's it, isn't it? That's the question. I mean, that's what I found weird earlier on is that having done some very light reading earlier on, by which I mean I pulled the wiki page up, went, oh, it was 156 episodes, grand, fantastic, ran from this date to that date. But having seen that, I'm going, hang on, I've seen this one, I've seen this one, I've seen this one. What the fuck is going on? Of all those episodes, the 3 I watched initially, I'd already seen. So what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I should have jumped further into the middle of the run to start watching.
I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do because I mean, by the time you get to like Pingu does stickers and Pingu fists a wall.
I really need to see Pingu does stickers.
Yeah,
like that's
Pingu does Dallas will be the next one, I'm sure. But yeah, you're right. I should have done the same because I literally just watched the first 6. And, and don't get me wrong, I'd imagine they're all the fucking same anyway. There's not going to be much deviation.
No, here's what's going to happen. Okay, Mum and Dad are going to like be doing some boring, mundane activity with
like
Pingu.
Parenting.
Pingu's going to get bored as fuck. He's going to go and get himself into trouble, and then he's going to end up running away, going back home, and then he's going to get a hug from Mum, and that'll be it. That's the episode. That's every episode of Pingu, pretty much.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, I was thinking back to the first one, to the pilot where he goes out with the ball and as kids do, because I'm fucking forever telling them off for it. But he'll take something out to play with it, come back in for no fucking reason whatsoever, then fuck off back out and find out it's always been nicked.
Well, don't leave it lying around then.
Exactly, because the big boys took it and they were playing with it, and they had a really good game of fucking keep away with it. And then when they lost the ball, they started playing fucking bounce. No, they started bouncing his head, which I thought was fucking amazing. And then you got the nice parallel where the father fixes the ball with 2 plasters, because obviously that's how you fix a burst ball. And then the mother fixes his head with 2 plasters in the same pattern. So that was quite nice.
Yeah.
So there were some nice touches to that. But again, seeing that thing where, as you said, something goes wrong. He runs in and gets a cuddle from Mum because he's effectively a big toddler. And then all's right with the world again.
Yeah, there's something quite reassuring in the structure of a Pingu episode. Like, I know exactly what I'm getting, and it still manages to make me laugh because they'll still throw a joke in there that I don't see coming.
And that was the thing I felt that. I mean, as I said, there's some it's obviously it's clearly aimed at preschool children, but it really does hit a mark with them. And so you see this with kids. So that is it's so well observed that the way they behave. Yes, okay, they're not all fucking raging lunatics.
Mm.
No, I'm wrong. They are, but there is that thing where they need reassurance, they need affection. They will all try and subvert some sort of rule, and it's just seeing it. Actually, we talked about Recess and how well observed the characters were in that, or the main characters anyway. There was some issues from the side characters, but seeing that and then seeing this, I'm thinking this is probably even more sophisticated than that because they do it all without words. They show pretty much every child that ever was and ever had a younger sibling.
Yeah.
And how they feel, how they portray that, how they deal with the younger sibling. And as the younger sibling grows up, how they deal with that. They capture it absolutely brilliantly, which I really wasn't expecting.
Yeah, the communication, it is phenomenal. And of course it makes it, and it's probably why it caught on so well culturally. Like every country in the world, as you mentioned, like Japan, picked up the co-production. Every company in the world can access Pingu because there is no language barrier.
Yeah.
Because it's just blah, 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 blah. That's all it is. So Noot, basically. If you can understand Noot Noot, and you don't even need to understand that he's saying Noot Noot,
No,
because
it's just because it's a sound, isn't it? It's not a word.
but it can be aggressive, it can be happy, it can be
Yep.
sad, it can be all of those things, and that's all communicated through the vocal performance and the animation. But there's no language.
Yeah, and I think it's the same with the parents. That even when the parents are speaking, you get intonation, you get the fact it's a raised voice, or it's a calm voice, or it's a fuck off and do as you're told voice. Because all parents have those, and as children, you will recognize those without needing to hear the words.
Yeah.
And let's be fair, when my kids hear me say fuck off and do as you're told, they just laugh. Mainly because they know I'm not supposed to say fuck.
But it's, yeah, you're right. There's something that every kid can recognize in there. But I think it's more than that. I think just cross-generationally as well. Like, it works to kids on that level. It works to us as adults on the level of looking at how well it's observed, looking at, how good the animation is, and also the fact that it's genuinely funny. Like, the gags are not funny because they're for kids. The gags are funny because they're funny. They're pitched.
They're based on the situation.
Yeah, they're not immature and they're not sophisticated. They're just funny.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. That's the same with all classic short cartoons, really. It's why Looney Tunes has endured. It's why Mickey and Donald and Goofy have endured. It's because they're just genuinely funny, and they're all, in each episode, the comedy, as you say, comes from the situation. And this is that. And I feel like it belongs in that camp with them. Yeah. I think the closest parallel you can draw for something like this, and you hit it earlier with why kids like in the way kids behave. And when I say parallel, I am not comparing them in quality in any way, but it feels like what I think, and I've never really watched it, so I'm going out on a limb, but it's what I think Peppa Pig wishes it was.
Peppa Pig wishes she was bacon. Oh no, hang on, that's
no, that's us. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's that thing where it's trying to portray this sort of universal experience that everybody has as a child. Everybody certainly in this country has as a child, whereby, we are in a society where kids go to school and adults go to work. We're not in adults walk 16 miles to get water and kids get conscripted into gangs with fucking Kalashnikovs. We're not in that society, but it tries to portray that. But it falls down miserably because, again, the characters are so fucking trite. Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, as much of a cunt as Pingu is, Peppa Pig just is on a whole fucking other plane.
And I think, I've never seen it, I've only seen clips, but I do think part of that comes from, and I mean no disrespect to the performers, I haven't watched it, but part of that with Peppa Pig certainly comes from the voice, because it's grating as all hell.
And kids of sort of 3, 4, 5-year-old, that's how they fucking talk all the time.
Yeah, whereas with Pingu, you don't get that because it's just Noot Noot.
Yeah.
So it's not as annoying. Like, how can Noot Noot be annoying?
Let's find out. Noot Noot.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see how long you have to listen to Noot Noot. Yeah.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And yeah, you're right. And I think that's very much what Peppa Pig and a lot of other shows aspire to, is that sort of universality of we are portraying your experience. And I know in Australia, for example, there was an episode of Peppa Pig that was banned because it was and not because there was anything wrong with it, but there was a spider in the bedroom, and one of the kids got freaked out, and there's nothing wrong with you, it can't hurt you, all the rest of it. Australia, where they have fucking spiders the size of dinner plates that will eat your head, so they refused to broadcast that. They were actually prohibited from broadcasting that because it gives the wrong message to children. Yeah. But apart from that, fucking go and jump in puddles, go and fucking run in front of buses. It's all fine because that's what kids do. But that's what they've gone for. But it's and they've tried to be as wholesome as they can, but they've made it. They've slightly updated it, so they're all in cars, and it's the same as Pingu in the City. It's a lot more modern, and it's a lot more reflective of where the majority of people live. But it lacks the charm and it lacks the character.
Yeah.
And I think the adults as well. For as annoying as Peppa Pig is, Daddy Pig should have been fucking drowned at birth.
I mean, Daddy Pig should be bacon, without a shadow of a doubt. How does a pig get to live to be that fucking old?
Yeah, and that fat without being killed.
Well, you're going to upset a lot of vegetarians and vegans out there saying that. No offense, just fact. All right.
Yeah. If you had a pig that lived that long and grew that fat, you would have turned it into chops by now.
Yeah, just fact. That's society. I'm just giving you facts. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with them. Incidentally, I am a meat eater, but I'm not saying I agree or disagree. Just giving you facts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll qualify as well that I'd never finish my greens and I could suck a pig through a straw. But that's just me.
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that with a barge pole.
I did steal that from somewhere else. That's not original.
That's just too easy. That's what the pig said. Where the fuck were we before you started talking about blowing pigs?
Peppa Pig. Well, I have no interest in blowing. Let's be fair.
Yeah, fuck. No, hang on. I nearly said fuck Peppa Pig. Way off topic now. I wish I'd never made the comparison.
No, but you are right. It is. There have been a lot of shows of that ilk in the last. Well, I mean, my experience goes back to 10, 12 years, so when my niece and nephews were little. But yeah, there've been lots of shows in that ilk where they do try and portray that very homely, very. I mean, we talk about with films where you don't have to have a big fucking action film. You can have a film that's seemingly about nothing, but it's about people.
Yeah.
And this kind of feels what Pingu is. That's what Pingu feels like it should be as well. It's just a well-observed short film.
Yes.
Actually, I mean, there's a reasonable argument to compare it to something like The Royal Family. Okay, that was slightly gag heavier. But again, it's not about this situation. It's just about the people.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
You can kind of place Pingu and the whole family in that sort of environment. And apart from the fact the gags would be shit because having Fat Jim Royal on the sofa going and not understanding a fucking word he says, that's going to ruin the joke. But you get that sort of feel to it where it doesn't have it knows it doesn't have. They don't have to be going through space to find fucking infinity stones, or they don't have to be blowing shit up and driving fast cars. They can just be going about their daily life. And for a child, digging a hole is the fucking best thing in the world.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's these mini adventures that children can go on that are actually incredibly mundane. Yeah. And again, you made the comparison to Rugrats earlier, and it's that as well, isn't it? It's your Rugrats and your Muppet Babies, where it's like, well, we're digging a hole, but actually we're digging through to Australia.
Or we're digging to find treasure.
Yeah, because that's what kids do. That's kids playing. I think there's also, going back to the Peppa Pig comparison and how it's lacking that sort of that observation and that level of detail and that charm. I think part of that as well just comes down to Pingu, I think, is one of the last of an era in terms of these kind of short 5-minute claymation, stop motion animations that we had a fuck ton of in the 80s and the 90s, just because as well as having your regular Saturday morning and afternoon programming, there was also a lunchtime slot. And the lunchtime slot was generally for preschoolers and for infant schoolers who were coming home from school for lunch and then going back. Or
we're doing half days.
Or we're doing half days, yeah. So, you were having things like Bagpuss, Fingerbobs, Captain Pugwash, Mr. Ben, Pingu, all of this kind of, and some of those have got more of a cutout feel to them as well, I'm aware. But it's still that kind of stop motion, stop frame animation that had an inherent charm to it. There is, like I said, there is just something hands-on about that style and about that 5-minute just encapsulated knockabout storytelling. That everything together, you mentioned Morph, there's another one there. Yeah. All of that together is just inherently charming. And I think Peppa Pig is just more brash and louder and just misses out on that.
And that seems to be the way the way it went. So that's not a negative indication on a negative indictment.
No.
It's just the way society went and the children's programming went.
Like the 90s happened and everything got extreme, and then all of a sudden everything was flashy lights and CGI, and that's just how things happened. There's no one's at fault there. Society just moved on, culture moved on. But I feel like Pingu was kind of the last of that ilk. We don't see the likes of Pingu and Moss Chops and Charlie Chalk and things like that anymore. They just don't exist. Charlie Chalk's on our list, I think. I'm sure I added it. In fact, a lot of these shows, if they aren't on the list already, will be getting onto the list. because these are ones that I remember very fondly.
Yeah.
Incidentally, to complete sidetrack listeners, we've some of you have sent some suggestions in as well. We have those.
We will get to those. They are on the list. We're just making our way to them.
Yeah. So don't think we've forgotten about you when I say I'm putting that on the list.
I actually was just pulling up the list to see what was coming. Actually,
yeah. I mean, I'm fairly certain Charlie Chalk's on there. I know I've thrown him in. If I haven't written him down for Who Wins, I've got him on the list for it as well. But we're talking shop on the show now. Whereas I think that is what's missing from Peppa Pig and things as well. I think I mean, how long is an episode of Peppa Pig?
7 minutes, 8 minutes. They do this again. They do what a lot of them did in the 80s. You'll have two in a batch.
Yeah. Okay, so they are shorter then. Okay, so I didn't know whether they were a bit longer.
Maybe as high as 10. I can't remember.
Okay, so they are
thankfully
short.
my two grew out of those a while ago.
So they are short episodes. So I didn't wonder whether I wondered whether it didn't benefit from that kind of short form storytelling as well, in the way that Pingu and Chops and Charlie Chalk and all of those did.
It's quite funny actually that a lot of things now are going back to that sort of that format whereby it's a 20-minute episode, but actually there are 2 episodes in it, or there are 2 stories in it. A lot of stuff, and if you look at a lot of kids stuff on Netflix now, a lot of kids stuff on Prime now, that's the way it's going, because actually it's very difficult to hold a child's attention for more than about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I find it amazing. I think I've said this before, that number one, will not sit down and watch a film because it's too long. She can't concentrate for that long. But she'll sit down and watch 2 hours worth of fucking Peppa Pig or Paw Patrol or whatever else, and not realize that it's the same. A 2-hour film and 2 hours worth of TV are exactly the fucking same length of time. But it's the idea.
Smaller chunks, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the idea of sitting there and watching one thing. And they did it yesterday. So we came home, did homework, and then we put Disney Plus on, and she was watching Mickey's Road to Races. And literally, after an hour, I said, "Can we turn that off and eat now?" Oh, I just want to watch one more. Just want to watch one more. And we said, no, she went through and said that was probably a good hour and a half before she actually came off it. But if I said, I've got a film which is 86 minutes long, should we sit down and watch it? I won't be able to pay attention for that long.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I think it's just that, you see this with adults now as well. Everybody's moving more towards TV as a model rather than films. It's because you've got that break. And very seldom do people take that break, because you'll end up binge watching a TV show. But should life get in the way,
you can at least stop it.
Fuck knows what's happening in a kid's life that they've got to stop after 2 episodes of Mickey's Roadster Racers. But the theory is there. It's bedtime now, I have to go to bed. Whereas with a film, I don't know, maybe this is me as well, but if I put a film on, I have to watch it in one sitting. I cannot stop and start a film.
The only time I will ever stop is if I fall asleep, at which point I'll I need to go back to where I dropped it from. But
that's out of your control.
Consciously say, right, I'll tell you what, there's an hour left. I'm halfway through. I'm going to knock it off now.
Yeah, I will plan it. If it's a 2-hour film and it's 9:30, I'm like, no, because I'm not going to finish it. And if I do, that's a late night. So I'm not doing it. I'm past putting that film on.
I stupidly did it the other day, and again, way off topic. But I was talking to a friend on WhatsApp, and she mentioned that Scream 3 was starting on Channel 5 or 5 Star or whatever fucking channel it was, and that was one of the first films we saw at the cinema together fucking a million years ago, and so we were talking while it was on, and then talking about the film. It didn't start until 10 to fucking midnight, and this was a Tuesday.
Fuck that.
And by the time we were talking about the fucking Jay and Silent Bob cameo, and we were talking about this, we were talking about that, and it's like, why did I start the film at 10 to fucking midnight on a school night?
Yeah, I'm way too old for that shit.
But because I started it,
you had to finish it.
I had to finish it.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Even more fucking annoying, I could have watched it on fucking iTunes, where I own it.
Anytime you like.
But I could also put it on at the start there and cut out 40 minutes worth of fucking ads.
Yeah.
But I didn't, because we were fucking talking about it as we were watching it. And when I went to bed, why the fuck am I still up at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And so I think maybe there's that about it with kids watching stuff in chunks. I think that's where it comes from. But all of that, again, is a roundabout off-topic way of saying, we've said this on the other shows. If you hear us, if you listen to our other shows and you hear us dissect films at all, for instance, on Better Than Mario, there is no reason no reason whatsoever that any film should break the 2 hour mark. Most can be done within 90 minutes. 80 is even better. Okay. And I feel like we've got the same thing here. Like most cartoons are 20, 25 minutes. And a lot of it, let's be honest, is nonsense. Pingu's a solid 5 minutes. Where it's in and out. It gives you your gag. There's no fat in here whatsoever. It never feels like these episodes are being stretched out. They just they give everything you need to get set up the characters, set up the gag. They hit you with the gag, and then asta, they're gone, and you're on to the next one. We need more TV like Pingu, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one Pingu, and I have seen this one many moons ago, but I didn't watch it today. There is actually a one-off 25-minute episode.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's called Pingu at the Wedding Party. It was produced in 1997, and it introduced a family of green penguins.
Green penguins?
Yeah.
As in environmentally conscious, or?
I don't know. It just says green. I know I've seen it. I can't fucking remember it.
Martian penguins?
Maybe. Well, no, it's the 90s. They were probably like fucking toxic waste infected.
Oh, yeah.
It was the 90s.
It was all about the environment in the 90s. Yeah, like I said, environmentally conscious.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out. Yeah, no, I can't see why they. I'll have to watch it. I can't see why they're green.
I've never seen it. But Pingu at a wedding party sounds like all kinds of fun. Just fucking.
It's again kids at a fucking wedding, dude.
Yeah,
There's a reason why they weren't any of mine.
Yeah, running around kicking the shit out of each other, drinking all the punch. Just. Yeah.
Running around sliding on the knees, getting the fucking way.
You've got to. Yeah, you've got to. Like it's it's compulsory.
There was a reason why I seated one of our larger friends at the door at my wedding, because there was a threat of somebody bringing kids because they weren't able to get a babysitter.
Yeah, no, kids have no place at weddings.
No.
He's like, absolutely not. So Pingu at the wedding party, I'm up for. I'm going to track that one down. I reckon that'll be hilarious.
It's probably on Prime. It's probably there.
Oh, it's bound to be. They are all on Prime as far as I can tell. They're also all on YouTube, legally and free.
It's a channel from, yeah.
So, there is no excuse for you guys out there not to go and watch some of this.
Yeah, as I said, you can watch one of these while you're having a shit.
You could have watched a fuck ton of them in the time you've been listening to us talk bollocks about Monster Munch.
You could have probably watched about 15 by now.
Yeah, and I'll be frank, they're probably more entertaining than us talking about crisps and biscuits. But thank you for listening to us anyway.
Yeah, you're this far in, you might as well stay to the end now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're pretty much wrapping up, to be fair. I think like I said, I've only watched an hour of this, and I was confident I could talk about Pingu without having to watch anymore. That's kind of why it fit for this week as well. But I'm glad I have watched it, because I think my memory of it was pretty solid. I definitely remembered like who Pingu was and the fact that it was 5-minute skits and stuff like that. But what came out of it in the immediate rewatch that I've got here was just how fucking good it is, and how much heart and care and attention has gone into this. How solid it is.
Yeah.
How tight each episode is as well. As I said, they do just give you the setup, run with it. Here's your gag, and off we go. Game over. We're done. Here's the next one. Incidentally, on Amazon, they're chopped up into like 2-episode chunks, so they're like 10 minutes a clip. It's perfect. 2 stories inside of 10 minutes. Like you said, you can watch them on the shitter, and wonder why Pingu has a shitter in his own house. If you want to, you can feel cynical. You can role play Pingu while you're on the bog. There you go. What more do you need? What more do you need? Honestly, go and watch it, listeners.
Yeah, give it a look.
Go and give it another look. Like if you. I'm sure you have seen Pingu already. I don't think there's many people out there who've never seen Pingu.
No,
but if you listen to us as somebody that hasn't, go and give it a look, because it's joyous. So please do. And if you have fond memories of it, it pretty much is exactly what you remember, but probably better quality than you remember. Like even the fact that they're really old. Yeah. Like don't forget, these are 20 odd years old now. They do not look it. I don't know whether Amazon have stopped them or what, but what?
30 years old.
30 years old. I have no concept of time. I'm an old man. Jesus.
That is true, you are, yeah.
Time stopped in the mid-90s. Like, anything after that, it's fine. Like, the mid-90s was fucking 15 years ago at most. And, I will have no more of it. Like, that's just it. Time stopped for me.
I referred to something a couple of weeks ago as being the other day. And it was when we were in film school.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
which was 16 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say about 15 years ago. Yeah, there you go. Time stopped, you see. So, yeah, it's nearly 30 years old then. Doesn't fucking look it at all.
No.
It absolutely does not look it. It looks like it could have been made yesterday, to be honest.
It is very clear. I don't know whether Amazon have had it touched up or whether whoever owns it has had it touched up, but it looks absolutely pristine.
Yeah, it really, really does. Go and give it a look. Stop listening to us talk bollocks about like old snack foods and kids at weddings. It's brilliant. It's genuinely brilliant. I know, as you say, it did your box in trying to watch more than 3 episodes. I had a complete opposite reaction. I could have, like, if you hadn't called, I like, and again, I said to Mark before we started tonight, like, I'm watching Pingu. Just call me when you're ready.
Yeah.
And like, if you hadn't called, I'd have sat here all night watching Pingu.
To be fair, I texted you after 3 saying my fucking brain had melted, and then proceeded to watch another 3 immediately after.
There you go. You see,
it was like I was like, my food's almost ready. I'll watch a couple, and I text you that I have my food, and as soon as my food is finished, like, right, I'm gonna watch Pingu now.
Yeah,
and it was quite funny because I said so the kids were watching TV, and Tori said, "Oh, should we while they're watching fucking Mickey Mouse or whatever it was, shall we do something growing up, like have a conversation?" Well, we can, but I was going to watch Pingu. And it's one of those that if I'd said that any other day of the week, she'd have laughed and not known if I was serious.
Yeah,
but she knew I was deadly serious because I'd been watching it. I'm going to watch more.
I mean, yeah, you can't give any higher praise than that, can you? You could spend time with your wife or watch Pingu.
Well, let's be fair, we've been in each other's pockets for the last fucking 14 months. When we leave the house.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things where it's like if I say no, I don't want to spend time with you or watch Pingu, that's possibly going to land you in trouble, and you still took the gamble. So, you know.
Yeah, it paid off this time.
Yeah, so that's pretty high fucking praise. Yeah, go and watch some Pingu. It's brilliant. We talked a couple of weeks ago when we were doing Cow and Chicken as well. We talked about kind of hangover TV and how we were both sort of coming to that with a sore head from the night before. And I just feel like Pingu would be great for that as well. Like just sticking on and just.
I likened it earlier to Mars Attacks in terms of the language, but it's that sort of thing where like, because you don't understand a fucking word that's being said anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No,
you just pick it off from what's on screen. I mean, I can't remember if it was you I did this with or somebody else, but I remember being absolutely bollocks on a Saturday or Sunday morning, having been out the night before, sticking Mars Attacks on, and on the DVD they've actually got it all dubbed in Martian with English subtitles.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the most fucking surreal thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but that's what this feels like.
Yeah,
it just feels like it's missing subtitles.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally watch it with the sound off, and I don't think you'd lose anything. I think the animation is that good that you can get everything with the animation. The sound is funny; it adds color.
But it doesn't add any information.
You can get everything you need from the animation. This is just fucking top tier stuff. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I've got to be honest. As I had memories of it, didn't really know that much about it. I've not seen it in fucking donkey's years. Apart from picking up the odd episode here and there. And I said there's one I saw a year or so ago, which I then saw again today. But I was really pleasantly surprised at how well this holds up, and I say how easy it was in holding my attention.
Yeah, oh, definitely. As I say, I would still be there watching it now had you not called me. So I don't know what else I've got to say about it. It's fucking wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm really glad that it's been on the list for a while and we just haven't got around to doing it. I'm really glad we decided to get around to it, and I'm really glad I watched it. I managed to get an hour of it in tonight. I really wish I'd been watching it last week as well now.
Yeah. You've done your run by now.
Yeah, and I will watch more. I will definitely go back and watch more.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, we always love hearing people's recollections. It shows if you do remember Pingu, if you do remember it fondly, or if you did think he was an absolute cunt, let us know either way. Actually, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think you could have enjoyed it and feel he was a cunt anyway.
I think so. We do, yeah. And also let us know what your favourite snacks were. What is the best?
However, if you do say Vanilla Monster Much, feel free to not listen to us again because they were fucking rank.
I can't remember. I know they had them. I can't remember what they tasted like.
They tasted like vanilla Coke Zero, which is just fucking wrong.
I like vanilla Coke Zero.
Oh, she's fucking wrong.
So, in fact, it's one of my favorites. So, but then I like all the weird flavors of Pepsi Max that they bring
That
out.
is true. You used to buy like the
So,
fucking pumpkin one, didn't you?
yeah, all the time. I buy cinnamon Coke at Christmas still as well. I like weird.
There's nothing wrong with cinnamon Coke. Cinnamon Coke is good.
Yeah, but yeah, I like all the weird Pepsi Maxes and stuff as well. So I guess maybe I would have liked vanilla Monster Munch. I certainly would have tried them. I must have tried them and just can't remember them, which suggests they were very nice.
I thought they were rank, but that's maybe just me. Anyway, the fuck is that?
We started with Monster Munch. We'll end with Monster Munch. Like
that's how my life is going to go. I'll either choke on it or give me a fucking heart attack. That's going to be me. It'll be a heart attack or I'll choke on the fucking things. Either way, that's how I'm going.
That's definitely how you're being eulogized now. He liked Monster Munch a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, here lies Mark. He liked Monster Munch. It didn't like him.
Oh dear.
Oh god. But yeah, as I was trying to say before, I just lost my fucking mind. Yeah, whatever your thoughts or your memories are, please let us know. Reach out as always. Usual channels on Twitter at SMPD Pods, on Facebook and YouTube with the Double Down Podcast Network. You can go to our website ddpodcast.net where you can get our previous episodes and also episodes of other shows. Wherever you get your podcasts from, be it iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Google Play. Like, share, subscribe, leave us a message. We'll get back to you as best we can. But until next time.
See you later.